Hi everyone, this is Love Johar. As you all know that I tell you about all the security things every now and then, and I am getting a lot of feedback from a lot of you. So today, this special edition was actually inspired by the guy that you can see inside the screen that I have over here. So his
Hi,
name is Akshay. Hi Akshay, welcome on board to the channel. And so Akshay actually inspired me. He said that in these times when people need the most bit around security, when everybody is so much cautious in terms of everything, especially during the time of corona, when we are in kind of in a panic mode, so we should have a session where we can guide people, where we can actually educate them. So that's why we are having this session today. Akshay, would you like to quickly introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi love. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And like you mentioned, that these are abnormal circumstances here, and we are here to discuss impact of Corona on cyber security and what it means for end users and people in general. I mean, what it means for employees, what it means for user. I myself, I am a security practitioner. I have been in this domain for more about a decade now, and with the things that go on and with the concerns that people have, with our relatives, our friends, our co-workers, employees, it just made more sense to clarify things because there's a lot of content and data out there. A lot of people are talking about a lot of things. It's all there, but there is also panic, there is confusion, and for us to be able to avoid small mistakes that may lead to something greater or bigger, it just made sense to collate all that information, give our two bits, and have this discussion. And maybe we learn a little bit from this, and there's something that we can give out to the community in general.
Yeah, when we speak about people, Akshay, there are two kinds of groups that I can really imagine under these circumstances. First type of people I can see who are working from home using their office
Right.
machines. And
Right.
second group of people are there who are working on their own personal machines, kind of using their
Right.
own laptops, iPads, and all the other, infrastructure that they have in their home to kind of suffice their office requirements. So, what would you say about this?
Yeah, so I would say that a major chunk of people right now are the ones who are kind of employees to an organization. They are working and catering to the requirements and needs that they used to do as an employee while they were working in their office and trying to make things happen. Also, there are people who are just regular users, who are just people like friends and family of the employees, who are just amidst this lockdown, staying at their homes, working from supporting the employees, their families, and so on and so forth. So both it kind of impacts both of them, and it's a unison. I mean, I may be an employee, but I'm still a normal human. I still function as a regular person. I still respond to regular emails. I still stream movies. I still talk to my friends and relatives, who are outside of the city or outside of the country. So I guess you're right here. It's the employed person and a normal regular user who is also accessing cyber resources or on the web, while I mean, more even so, while they are inside their house and not able to do their regular social activities.
Absolutely. So, Akshay, when we talk about difference between working from home and working from the enterprise, what actually changes in between? What are the things that would normally do not work when we are working from home?
Yeah, so it's actually to say that we weren't really prepared for something like this.
Absolutely, I would agree. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So
yeah.
from an organizational perspective, also we weren't prepared for an immediate or complete lockdown on people having to access resources. Now, what has happened was there have always been provisions of VPNs. There have always been provisions of secure remote accesses, but the scale wasn't optimized for this this much scale. So, like organizations or what companies are doing is they already are offering VPNs and remote connections to employees, but they are not able to offer it to all of the people,
Yes.
right? So the challenges what they're facing right now, because this is an out of normal condition, outside of normal condition, this is an abnormal scenario. So trying to accommodate everybody in that schema of secure access, or let's not even say secure access, to access to all of resources is kind of a challenge. So when you're trying to accommodate everybody inside that system which was not designed for that bigger scale, some things tend to happen, and that is the outlier. That
Yeah.
is where things happen, mistakes happen, security flaws come in, and
Yes.
that is where we face challenges.
Let's say I am an employee who is working from home, and
Yeah.
I am trying to access Facebook, and I'm trying to access the other websites. So should I have to be more cautious? Should I have to be more, careful in terms of visiting the other website? How should it work for me?
Okay, so from a normal user perspective, right? Let's talk about a normal user who's trying to access social media websites, right? Like Instagram, like Facebook, like Twitter. What I would suggest is that the websites in themselves are still as secure as they were before this pandemic.
Yes.
So we don't have to worry whether Facebook is secure to access or not.
Yes.
That is something which is Facebook's concern. That is not my concern, or that is not an end user's concern. What you need to do is you need to be able to safely access those websites.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The resources that you are using, you have to think about the parameters that come into picture is whether you're using your personal laptop, whether you're using your cell phone, whether you're using your iPad, or whether you're using a company resource. So like you said, if I am accessing social media websites from my company laptop, couple of things come into place. One is whether your company is already monitoring and the social media websites that you're visiting. Either ways, even if they're not, you should be more responsible of visiting non-company related websites from your company laptop,
Absolutely.
because that's an asset the
Yeah.
company has entrusted you with.
Yeah.
And since this being an abnormal scenario, it's the more I'll tell you what the difference is. When we were regular employees and we were going to companies, it was more responsibility of the information security team to ensure that my asset is secure. But now that they're handling so many tickets, so many incidents, and everybody's operating from home, and the bandwidth reduces of the service that they can provide to each and every employee, it becomes more of a responsibility for us
Yeah.
as end employees
Yes.
to make sure that at least the asset is secure,
Yes.
right?
Completely,
I guess, yeah. So
completely
that's
agree.
pretty.
Yeah. So let's say this is about the office machine that I have. I'm sure this office machine that I have would be completely secured in terms of the antivirus, in terms of the VPN access. Everything would be there, right? But let's say, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. So I was saying, to add more on the responsibility part, I mean, you're right that the teams are working 24/7 to ensure that the security now is more than ever,
Yes.
because we do not know, because there are unknown threats, because everybody is now exposed. And like we say that people or human is the weakest link in information security.
Yes.
Being prone to social engineering and those frauds and scams. It is also our responsibility. In what sense? I'll tell you that. Let's say I get a prompt that my antivirus has not been updated.
Yes.
It is my job to inform or email the IT service desk or the concerned team that in your earliest convenience, please make sure that my antivirus is updated, my softwares
Yes.
are updated, and all those things.
Yes.
If you have that power, which usually employees do not because it's centrally managed, from the organizational level, if you have that access, I think you should go ahead and do it whilst taking proper permissions. But the respected teams should be informed. Informing is the key, because when they know, they will take an action.
Yes.
I think that's the key. You have to make sure that you do not rely and sit and think that this is an IT person's job or this is an information security team's job. If I get hacked or if something happens to me, it is their fault. No, it's not. It's more of our responsibility now, because we have to stick together to fight this thing and come out of it.
Yes.
As a community, as an organization, as an employee, as a team, however you take it.
Yes, absolutely, Akshay. And Akshay, one thing I would like to emphasize, for example, let's say a person who is working from home, he should be completely aware about where his assets are kept. For example, he should not keep the laptop open for. I'm not saying that people do that very often, but sometimes we keep the assets unattended for a long time.
Right.
So this should be, I think, taken care of properly, and they should make sure that the laptops are not in complete reach of the children, because of course you can't do anything. And
Yes.
especially, let's say if one of your kids have put in a USB drive just to play a game, then you can
Right.
imagine the kind of issues that the employee will face.
Yeah, exactly. And you also have to make sure now more than ever that you sign out of the applications, you sign out of your accounts. Even if you think that it's just you that has access to the laptop, let's just be more cautious. Let's just make sure that when I'm done, let's say I'm accessing my web mail through a browser, let's just make sure that we sign out when we are done, we clear the cache. When we are logged into our conferencing applications like WebEx, like Skype, like Zoom, once we are done, we close the meetings, we quit the application, not just close it. It's just basic hygiene.
Yes.
It's understandable when we are working from our office to keep the softwares and the websites open because of productivity and not wasting time on logging back in again, back and forth. But right now, it's a matter of inconvenience of a couple of minutes, but it's just to make sure that just being extra safe, extra paranoid, and making sure that we log out and we close all applications so that we are just safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree, because let's say if I simply turn off the lid of my laptop, thinking that nobody will reopen that lid in my absence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that would be a big mess. Absolutely, I can imagine that. So Akshay, I think this is a very important fact, especially for people who are working from home using their office machines. They have to be extra cautious, because now the responsibility has shifted from the
Yes.
company to the employee. So now the entire onus is on the employee to make sure that their asset is secure, and the confidentiality of the information which is there on the asset is secure.
Exactly. And the key thing here is for people to not panic. The key thing here is for people to understand that it's not that the measures have changed. It's not that you have to do something out of the blue. It's the same thing. You still have to follow the same practices, the same basic hygiene. You just need to be more proactive, more paranoid, and more cautious about it. That's it.
Yes, absolutely. Also, apart from this, Akshay, I have heard from a couple of other WhatsApp posts that were floating around in our groups, as you know. So, I have heard that there are some scam websites, some, phishing websites that people are creating just to get, some traffic, and some people, they're trying to get money out of this corona thing. How is this happening?
Okay, so yeah, so this is a very good point, and this is something that I really wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
and it's really good that you have brought this up, and it's
Yeah.
very true. People have been approaching me personally and through groups, like you already know, talking about the scams and the frauds that are going on. So I am going to quickly touch base on and what are the new things that have emerged and how they are kind of a spin-off of something that's already been happening. Is this a new take? So a couple of things that have been happening from a phishing, a fraud, or a scam perspective is that there are phishing websites. So we already know that phishing is when you create a fake website, you host it on a server, you send those links. These websites look very genuine. These websites look like a website that we have already been accessing, something like an online retail shop, something like a banking application, and they trick the user into either revealing their credentials or putting their credit card, debit card details and trying to fraud them or scam them for money. Now, how the social engineering of this phishing works is it's a campaign based thing. So whatever is hot or whatever is new, it will be the agenda for the phishing website. Let's say for us, there is a holiday coming, so holiday discounts, or your administrator or your bank sending you that we are giving you some offers, is something that kind of becomes the campaign. Now what's happening here is that people are creating fake websites and applications driving under the name of this COVID-19 pandemic fear.
Oh my God.
So there are apps. What these apps are doing is people are publishing apps on on app stores, on Play stores, also circulating these apps that show you how many people near you are affected.
Oh my God.
Now this our government has already launched. Indian government especially has launched a Bluetooth based app that kind of tells you how many people around you are infected, and similar ways there are people who are offering fake maps, and these apps, what they do is they show you fake data and they ask you to either log in or pay a small fee.
Yes.
And then and so this is what is fueling and powering these scams, and they're basically working on fear, because I'm fearful right now, right?
Yes.
So I want to know whether my neighbor is infected or not. I want to know whether let's say the grocery guy that I'm getting my groceries from is infected or not.
Yes.
So I fire up this app and it says that just for this price we will let you know, and they actually load fake maps.
Yes.
So you don't. So it's basically feeding on your fear.
Yes, Akshay, let's say I am a normal person. Let's say I don't know anything about security. Let's say I am a simple person who is living at home. I am kind of old, okay? I don't know much about security, but I want to donate something to the government. Wouldn't there be a case there would be phishing websites there also, where I am wiring money without even knowing whether I am sending to the government or sending to somebody who is sitting at home?
Yes, that is true. That is true. So to add on that, there are websites that are asking for money for COVID-19 relief fund. They are talking about feeding people. There are fake online bill payments. There are fake home delivery applications and websites as well. So obviously, let's say, so I'll give you a small case. I'll just come back to donating, because there's a point there. To add to what I was saying earlier, that there was a small case with a friend of mine. So what he had been doing was he was using a local internet service provider, where he used to go and pay the bill to the guy in his office.
Okay.
Or there was a guy who used to come in the building and collect the payment from everybody. And since this happened, what they did was he and other people, residents of the building, they got a message saying that amidst this outbreak, we are not able to send a guy, or you will not be able to give us cash. So here is a link where you can pay your internet bill, and they kind of somehow knew your name or knew your address or something. They gave half relevant information, and a lot of people ended up paying to them.
Oh my God.
And when their internet still got disconnected, they kind of tried to talk to the person, and he said, no, we do not deal with such things.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. So this is one. And then we have a scarcity, right? We have a scarcity. A lot of people find scarcity of online groceries, groceries in general, and ration and food supplies.
Yeah.
And there are and most of the delivery services are right now either not functioning or functioning in a very minimalistic way.
Yes.
So a new local websites, very local to cities, very local to areas, have popped up.
Yes.
That claim that they will deliver groceries and whatever you need at your home.
Yes.
even things like smoking accessories, cigarettes, and liquor as well.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. So they are kind of primed to your weakness and your fear. That
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am getting everything delivered to my home. All I
Yeah.
need to do, and they don't even ask for everything upfront. They will just say that you make a 10 rupee transaction with us and you say share that OTP with us and all of that. So it's kind of a spin-off of what has already been happening.
Yes.
They have just become really creative about it.
Yes.
They have figured out what the challenge or what the fear or what the scarcity or what the need of an end user would be, especially people who are not so tech savvy, like you already said.
Yes. Let's say I'm that person. What are the things that I should look for when I want to make a genuinity, option, whether I'm going to a legitimate one or I'm going to a fake one? How should I differentiate?
Right. Okay. So I'll first of all let me address the one that you said for donating funds.
Yes.
Right, there are two places where you can. There is already a Prime Minister's donation fund that has always been there for any kind of donation you need to give for any kind of relief, and there is a website that has specifically been created for COVID-19.
Yes.
What we can do is, we can share these links as a text or a context to this podcast, and we can redirect people to the proper website. You
Yes.
need to be able to visit. So there are only two websites where you can visit and access and donate through Prime Minister's fund, and that those should be used and channelized to donate.
So awareness is an important piece here. Yes.
Awareness is an important piece, and I think more so being an information security guy, being paranoid is more important.
Yes.
You need to make sure that you double check, triple check what you're doing right now,
Yes.
because even the relief services or even the responses that the cyber security cell or the police or anybody or even the service provider might be able to give to you will be lesser, because they are dealing with bigger problems. They're trying to keep their services afloat. The police and the law enforcement are trying to contain the situation here. So expecting that somebody else will solve this for me right now is not something we should do. We should just make sure that okay, I know there is just one website for donating a fund. I will just use that website. I will, no matter how lucrative it seems, no matter how easy it is for me to donate through some other place, I should restrain from it.
What I would suggest, yeah, Akshay, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I think
No, please,
what
please.
what I would suggest at this moment would be, before actually pressing the pay button, wouldn't it be better for me to just go to Google search and find out, because that I think
Yes.
everybody can do.
Yeah. So let's talk about protecting against basic phishing.
Yes.
Protecting against any kind of a phishing or a malicious attack. What you need to do is either you will get it through an SMS or you will get it through an email.
Yes.
Right? There is
Yes.
no if a person calls you and tells you to visit somewhere, it's suspicious as it is.
Yes.
So probably you're not gonna do it.
Yes.
So what you need to
But
do
no,
is
no, no.
you need.
Let's go there. Let's go there for a while, Akshay. I think.
Okay.
Let's say I am calling you and I am saying that I am kind of helping Corona people who are suffering from Corona. So I want some donation from you. What would you say to that person?
So I would say that if I am already donating to the Prime Minister's fund, I mean you should probably also donate it to that. You should, what I would typically do is I would ask him for his website.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I do to any person who always comes to me for any kind of a donation. See, I'm always pro donating to a good cause, but I do not like to hand over the money to somebody who's kind of just standing there with a brochure and coming up to me. I would not do it in a normal circumstance, and I sure as hell would not do it over a phone call.
Yes.
So what I would say is, can you just tell me the website? I will just go to the website. I will check whether that website is genuine or not, and then I will go ahead and donate. What I would suggest right now is not to donate to any website in general, because our government is doing a fantastic job. And if they are lacking, we should support them more. The more funds we give them, the better job they will do right now.
Yes.
And right. So I feel that it makes more sense to go for more tech savvy people. They can visit the websites. For people who do not know so much and are a little confused and they cannot decide, either don't do it altogether or ask or consult somebody who might know something about this. who might be a little more tech savvy than you.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so from a telephone perspective, this is what I would say. From a general phishing perspective, it's the basic rules. Make sure you check what URL you are visiting. Do not click on a link. I type it on your browser or go to Google, check for that proper link, go in, log in, and then check the section. If somebody comes to me and says, amidst coronavirus pandemic, we are updating all users and please click on this link to refresh your details, I would rather just go back, log in into my service, check my details over there, whether there is a notification from the service. If there is, I'll go manually update it, click on update, log out from this device, and that's it. I'm done.
Yes, let me give you a scenario, Akshay. Let me say that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I've got a message at 6 a.m. from somebody who is saying that this is from official government website, something like that. The SMS looks very much to be stable and to be very much appropriate for somebody who wants to donate, and it shows me a hyperlink. It shows that you can click on this link and you can simply enter the amount. It will be automatically deducted from the bank account and things like that. At that time, even if my wife also receives that same message at the same time, would you still recommend going to this government website instead of that message?
Yeah, I would say so. See, so why I'm saying this is because the government or your bank in general would never send you a mass text
Absolutely.
or a mass email to
Yeah.
update anything.
Yes, absolutely.
That does not happen.
Yeah, yeah.
The banks are regulated by RBI and regulation bodies in such a way that they are not allowed to reach out to you to update your data via insecure channels.
Yes.
SMS and phone calls are insecure channels.
Yes.
You have a registered email ID. If your wife and you receive the same email, from that bank, then you may think you still do not have to say that this is genuine. Then you may say that, okay, now this is a little better or little more something more believable
Yes.
than a text or a phone call.
Yes.
One thing that you could do is you could simply, so what they do is they use URL shorteners.
Yes.
So if they are using URL shorteners, do not visit it, because typically your bank or your services would not use a URL shortener.
Never. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They don't.
yeah,
They're not supposed to.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be transparent in what they're sharing with you,
Yes.
because it's a paid service. You are entrusting them with your money.
Yes.
Right? So if you see a URL shortener, if you see something like goo.ly, you know that you don't have to click on it.
Yes.
Then just forget about it. Forget that email. Your bank will contact you. Do not worry. It's not like if you do not click on that link, tomorrow your bank account is going to freeze.
Yes.
The bank services are meant to be as much consumer friendly as possible.
Yes.
The bank is kind of our servant. They are serving us.
Yes.
So even if I have 1,000 rupee or 10,000 rupee account, I am as valuable to them as any other guy.
Yes.
That is how the mandates or the guidelines of RBI, are laid out.
Yes.
So I just need to relax. I don't need to panic. This is for all users. You guys do not need to panic. You get an email saying this has happened, that has happened. It's okay. Call your customer care executive. You are a consumer. You have the right to call them. You have the right to tell them I'm getting this message. You do not have to reveal your personal info. You just say that I just received an email like this. Is this you guys? And they will tell you, no, this is not us. And then you're done. Right?
Yeah.
So you just need to make sure that you have to behave like consumers. Do not panic. Do not think that just because there's a pandemic going on, the bank will suddenly freeze your account or something like this. If something of this scale happens, it will be covered in news. It will be notified by the government. It will be notified by the banks. So everybody will know.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, Akshay. I think in terms of making that devices secure, one thing I would like to emphasize over here would be, especially for all the people who are using smartphones these days, they should regularly update all their apps as well as their, the OS, the iOS and all the Android. What do you say, Akshay? That is really important.
So from an end device perspective,
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of things that we can do, be it smartphones, be it your laptops or workstations. If you are an end user and you're not governed, it's your personal asset. I think what you need to do, like you said, is you need to regularly update your Windows now
Yes.
more than ever, because
Yes.
Windows. So one interesting thing that has happened is it's not just us who are working from home, it's the hacker as well. He has
Yes.
more time at hand,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
and he's getting creative because
Yes.
he has time to pass, and he
Yeah.
has the skill set
Yeah.
to quickly publish malwares and ransomwares and spin-offs of previous malwares and ransomwares. So what we need to do is we need to regularly update all softwares and Windows. All softwares. If you get a prompt by your software saying that this is an outdated version, do you wish to update? Do it. Because
Yes.
we do not have that practice. We just click on cancel most of the times because our job is getting done. A lot of people might still be using previous versions of Skype, previous versions of Zoom, and all those things. So we need to make sure that we update all our softwares, we update our Windows, we install and purchase antivirus. We do it. It's not that costly.
Yes. Nowadays, no. Yeah.
Yeah, home licenses are not that
Yes.
costly.
Yes.
So we actually use proper antivirus. We keep updating the signatures. If a prompt says that your firewall is off, please make sure that you turn your firewall on. If you're not able to understand it, show it to somebody who will be able to do it for you from a workstation perspective. From your phone perspective, yes, please upgrade to your latest version. Make sure all apps are updated. Make sure you have in your settings you have made sure that all apps are updated. Do not download any suspicious looking app or any app that you feel you do not know about, just to be extra secure and safe about it. Not every app out there is there to get you, but try to be minimalistic in the kind of applications that you're using. Most of the things that we do right now, we already have apps and services and websites that get it done.
Yes.
The only reason we would need to switch to something else is if we need a better service, a faster service, or there's something that's not working for us. So maybe a little constraint, a little restraint, in our habits might help a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to really say is that and this is more from an employee perspective, that try not to forget your passwords. because we have a habit of forgetting
Yeah,
passwords, and
yeah.
then we end up calling the IT service desk, and them being overloaded, giving somebody a chance to try to use a different way, or leave a security loophole. It just makes more sense to just remember your passwords. Try not to lock yourself out of your applications. Remember your passwords, and I guess this should pretty much keep you secure
Let's
during
say,
these times.
yeah, let's say Akshay, I am Rohit. I work in your IT department, and
Okay.
suddenly I call you on a Sunday evening saying that Akshay, I can see that your one of your apps on your laptop is not updated. Would you give me remote? What would you do in that case?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
This could happen, no? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say right now any remote activity should not be promoted. In fact, I would say people should remove or restrict remote editing applications. Applications like TeamViewer, applications like AnyDesk should be removed altogether. If you know that person, even then you should verify it from your organization whether this is an authorized activity. If you're an end user, then there it makes no sense. If you're an end user, if you're not even an employee of a company, and somebody is saying that this is it, then I guess it doesn't make sense. But I guess this applies more from an organizational perspective.
Yes.
If my friend Rohit is coming to me and telling me that I can fix this for you, I would rather send an email and get it verified from the IT department. And then, because it's not about friendship, right? It's about security. It's about my responsibility towards my asset. Let's say Rohit is genuine in what he's doing, but what if Rohit's machine is infected, and while he's taking a remote, that infection kind of transverses or passes off, or he's using some malicious or a hacked software, So he is liable, and this liability then passes on to me. So it makes more sense from me following the basic protocols. Like I said, the basic hygiene. If you come to me and you tell me that there is a problem, I'll say, okay, fine,
Yes.
maybe you're right. Let me just ask my boss, let me just ask the team, and let me just follow the protocol then. I'll tell you why this is important, even from a liability perspective. Should something happen, and let's say, nothing happens, you still have followed the protocols. Then the lapse was not from your end. So you know that you were safe, you were secure, you were following the guidelines, and something happened because of somebody else, and then we can track that person down, because we don't want to be the weak link, add to the weak link in the chain of events that happen.
Yes, absolutely. So I think over here we are trying to act as devil's advocates, but I think at this point
Yes.
of time it's very important for all of us to make sure that we are extra secure, we are extra cautious, we are actually thinking twice before clicking on any links, before going anywhere on our, especially on our office assets, because these assets are not some things that we were used to working from home in the past. So
Yes,
that's
exactly.
why that's why it has become more responsible on our end in order to make sure that we utilize that more efficiently. And in terms of handling also, Akshay, I would say that people should be extra cautious in terms of handling, because I have seen that many people do not handle the assets properly sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a practice, because there has been a culture. It's a culture thing in a couple of places, that organizations have a lot of resources and assets at their disposal, and we are kind of spoiled, or lethargic or lazy in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
We just used to calling somebody and saying, this has happened, and the guy will come to our desk and then fix everything. and
Yeah.
and now, even if my office is next door, getting the laptop from there to my home is not an option,
Yeah.
because we're sitting here and there is no way to reach.
Yes.
So it kind of happens that we may want to, or we may are accustomed to those habits, but the situation right now is not allowing for it.
Yes.
So adding to what you said very rightly, that we need to change our habits. We need to be more responsible.
Yeah, that's the
That's
only word.
it.
Yeah, that's the only word that I can also think of, actually, in terms of becoming more responsible, especially during this lockdown period, because you don't have any other option. You don't have anyone who can come to you, support you. You don't have any office guys. You don't have IT people to support you.
Yeah.
Let's say there is no way to support you, and you are down with the machine. What will you do?
Exactly, and moreover, even the people who are supporting you from their home have a lot of things to take care of.
Yes.
The challenge here is that not everybody's personal internet provides that bandwidth,
Yes.
right? And you have a family of 4 people minimum, 5 people there. People are now streaming left, right, and center, watching their favorite shows, binging on things, and that affects the bandwidth.
Yes.
So you have to also understand that from a family person, or from a person who's supporting people who are right now working from home. I would say that try to fix your timings when you're trying to consume the bandwidth
Absolutely.
during their regular office hours. Let's try, as a family person, as a relative, or a person of kin to the person who's supporting people, like the IT staff or the employees. I can make sure that I stream my shows after 7, or let's say before 9, or
Yes.
I download them, because now all streaming websites have a feature of downloading
Yes.
episodes. So
Yes.
why not just download them and then see it at our own leisure. Let's just be a little miser in or be a bit more cautious, and again, coming back to the word responsible, in how we are consuming the resources. Because see, it's the same way we are consuming our edibles more responsibly, because we know that there might be a scarcity. Same goes for bandwidth, same goes for resources. We need to make sure that we consume our bandwidth in such a way that they can still support our operations. They can still support our normal working capacity. We can still video conference. We can still download important things off of our infrastructure and servers, and it does not get affected.
Yeah.
I guess that's also something to think about.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to discuss in terms of the last point that you have just mentioned, Akshay, in terms of making sure that since we are sitting here, since the IT guys, since the security people are sitting
Right.
here, what is happening to the infrastructure inside the premises? What is happening to that building? What is happening to that data center? That is
Yeah.
altogether another piece that needs a lot of discussion, I'm sure. Any other point from you before we conclude this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
one thing I wanted to address here, and I
yeah.
think we should also address is when we are talking about the organization perspective of security, and like you said, is the video conferencing applications. So there's been a lot of rumors and actual news and stories about and a fear and a confusion regarding how to use the video conferencing apps.
Yes.
Now that there is news emerging about Zoom, that
Yeah.
there was teleconference hijacking is the term that people are using.
Yes.
That they are getting hijacked. People are just joining in meetings using profanity in the meetings, and so I think that is something that I would like to address right now. Is that even with applications like Zoom, it's not that you can still not secure yourself. It's just that maybe they were not very outstanding in saying that there were options to do it. And we were confused in the sense that we just click on a link, we just create a meeting room and it will be safe and secure like they advertised. Having said that, there are still measures inside every known video conferencing solutions that enable you to do even more secure meetings. Couple of things I would like to address here. I am focusing on Zoom here because it was in picture. These can all be done through your Skype and WebEx as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
one of the thing was that you do not need to make your meetings public. Do not make it public. Make it a private meeting. Do not share those links on social media or like a or do not make a public post out of it.
Yes.
Share this with the concerned people over email. Do not share it on WhatsApp. Do not share it on a web page on Facebook or wherever. That is one thing. Zoom also has a feature of what they call as waiting rooms.
Yes.
This is a great thing wherein the moderator or the person who has started the meeting can screen people who are joining. So if I start a meeting as a waiting room, and then people cannot join before the presenter.
Yes.
I will screen everybody. So that's a good feature there. Screen sharing should be done from a host only perspective. Right, so we mostly what we do is we enable all options,
Yes.
and everybody can share the screen. So we should make sure that we do it for host only for screen share. There is when you go for corporate licenses, they have something called as a personal meeting ID.
Yes.
Now that is permanent to you from Zoom.
Yes.
That remains with you, and that is used to access your meetings throughout the span of your license.
Yes.
So do not use your personal meeting ID to create. Use random meeting IDs so that it's less guessable for somebody to just come inside your meeting room.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty much it, and this can apply to other video conferencing solutions as well. I said this because in one of our groups, you must have seen people are asking, with all of these things going on with Zoom,
Yeah.
what do we do? So I
Yeah.
just thought it makes more sense to just kind of address this over here.
Yeah, Akshay, what I would like to add over here in terms of Zoom, because I think these things, to be honest with you, I think you would also agree, these things can happen to any service provider, right?
Yes.
It's just a pity that Zoom got in picture first, but it can happen to anyone, maybe other platforms would also be there who would have similar kind of risks in them, but nobody has exploited, or they are not in the picture. So apart from focusing on any particular vendor or a
Yes,
service provider,
yes.
I think we should generally be, again I would say the same thing, more responsible
Yes.
in terms
Yes.
of especially teleconferencing, because this is something that we would have to for a longer period of time, I'm sure, because this is just the start, this is just the tip of the
Yeah.
iceberg at the moment. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So we, it's like you very aptly said that we need to make sure, and these are basic things. Just make sure that you're not making your meeting public. Now that can be observed in any kind of video conferencing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So all these points are pretty much observable in every place, and not just on video conferencing, also in general when you're trying to communicate now. And now that you know the communication lapse is there, we have to be patient. Patience is the key, because when we start losing patience, we tend to lean towards, bypassing or using chat messages, or sharing sensitive data through channels like, social media, or those things should be avoided. Be patient. It's okay. The organization understands that you're working from home. Everybody knows that, you're using your home bandwidth or your home internet service provider. It's all good. You need to be patient. You need to trust your organization. You need to trust your bank. You need to trust the government. You just need to be patient and responsible, and I'm sure we can all, get out of this smoothly and securely.
Yes, absolutely. And Akshay, one thing I would like to more emphasize on this, because I think our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi ji also mentioned this in one of his recent speeches. We have to be cautious about rumors also these days, because a lot of
Very much.
rumors, especially on WhatsApp groups, especially on some news channels, these things keep on popping up. So we have to be more cautious in terms of believing what we actually have to believe, because
Right.
this is a very important bit. Otherwise, there's a lot of information in terms of COVID-19. There's a lot of information in terms of Corona. Just hit this on Google and you will see million and billions of searches with this.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, and it's more so that, it just adds up to the fear and the panic that we already have. We just need to have a little patience, a little faith. You need to be aware, but you do not need to follow everything every time. I mean,
Yes.
you just need to, be safe. Make
Yeah.
yourself safe. Make the people around you safe. Observe social distancing. Observe safe cybersecurity practices. Be more vigilant. Be a little more proactive in trying to get other people aware around you. And I guess as collectively we can deal with it. Just spreading more news about, people dying or, cases is not going to help. It makes more sense to spread some more positivity, maybe kind of like tip of the day, maybe create groups to just make people more aware about things, maybe discuss cases of frauds or scams or something that is happening with you, so that other people are more aware. It makes
Absolutely.
more sense to
Yeah.
share these
Yeah.
details
Yeah.
rather than something that we have no control over.
Yes, absolutely. I think if we will keep on sharing these things that we have done today, Akshay, it will actually make a lot of difference in terms of people who are actually sitting at home. Somebody who is not aware of these things would actually get a lot of information from this discussion that we had today. I'm totally sure about that. Anything
I
else
sure
you
hope
would
so.
like to add, Akshay, before we conclude?
No, I think I would just say that, we need to be strong. We need to stay strong here. We need to make sure that all of us get out of this together, and we need to make everybody aware about what's happening, and be, socially and, responsible from as a human, as an employee, as a family person, and also as, information security professionals.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for your time. I would now stop the recording. Just give me 1 second.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.